Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and part 5 of our look at the 425 AYA 2CV early Diane engine. Not much more to say really, let's get on with it. We're going to be looking at the crank and other bottom end bits today, and as usual it's sitting waiting for us on the bench, so let's go have a look. There's our crank then. Now the centre is threaded because the crank is tapered like the later engines, and this sits on the taper, so it's tight. Now I do have the original tool somewhere, but I can't find it. And if you buy one, I'm not sure how much they are, but they're about 45 quid, something like that. So I also have this, which screws in there. And then we tighten it down until it bottoms. Now this can go two ways. As you wind that in and it bottoms, that should pop up. The chances of it doing so, I think, are very slim, given it's been sitting for a long time looking at that. But anyway, we shall see. Now, this tool I'm using, oh, there we go, that's tight, and that ain't going anywhere. Right, this tool I'm using is actually a Honda 754 Dynamo removing tool, and if you shop around you can get that delivered for £9.99 as opposed to 45 quid for the one sold specifically for 2CVs. Does it work? Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? Tighten that again. It's tight. And now is the answer. So I'm going to have to put it in the vise and give it a bit more persuasion. So back with you shortly. Actually, before we go, we'll just try it with a proper hammer. And still no. This is tight. Oh, there we go. That's exactly what's meant to happen. Off it comes. There's our taper, which looks good. Oily, but nothing much else wrong with it. There's our front oil seal, which I will save and measure because I'm not sure which oil seals are on this, to be honest. I'll have to look and see what parts are available. Right, so if we remove our extractor, come on. There we are, £9.99. So that needs cleaning up. Looks good in there. And then we'll move on to the rest of the crank. Right, so now the dynamo's off. The tapers for the fan and the dynamo are good. We know the bottom end didn't really play. There is no noticeable rock on the main bearings. There was, however, some end play, which was outside the tolerances given in the workshop manual. Now, the correct method to deal with that is to get another crank. Now, a bit of end play in a north-south engine isn't the end of the world anyway, but the way I dealt with it, and it's very much a personal choice, it's not recommended by Citroen or anyone else, I don't think, for that matter, is that basically the end play takes place here because the rear main just slides on and off. Now, looking behind that cog, there was a witness mark where it looked like it had moved very slightly. There was no noticeable wear on the edges of the main bearing, which is shouldered here. So I used a steel sleeve sitting on that raised lip there, and then because you can't transfer impact through a crank without standing a chance of possibly knocking out a line, I held the crank like so up against my belly whilst my mate slipped the sleeve on, gave it a sharp tap with a hammer, which moved this back the millimetre or two it needed. So there's still a small amount of end play, but that is within Citroen's limits. Now, as I say, that is not an authorised method of repair. I have no qualms about using it. If you don't fancy it, don't do it. So it's as simple as that. If you're rebuilding this for your car, you decide. I've done it. I will continue to do it. So there we go. Now, I have cleaned up the cases. Let me just check you can still see that. Right. So I've cleaned up the cases, particularly where the Dynamo had stock and all that sort of stuff. Cleaned off the faces. And again, it's all remarkably good. I mean, the quality of the castings is superb, really. These are 50 years old. And they are excellent. All the pins are secure still. All the threads are good. It's just in excellent condition. I cleaned out the castings where the cam followers run. They're also perfect. Everything's just good, for which I am obviously very grateful. So let's move that out of the way. The other thing we're going to be putting in is our cam. And again, there's just nothing on it. Not even really any oil discoloration, which is, what I expected to find, to be honest. Just remarkably good. The advanced mechanism is free. The cam for the points is slightly worn, but we'll probably get away with that. We'll see when we set it up. So that's very good. Our oil pump, just the tiniest marking there, but really nothing. Cover's good. The two rotors, perfect. The cam followers, again, nothing wrong with that. Perhaps a very slightest hint of a polish there. But they're good. And then our oil strainer. Now this is slightly more irritating because there is a rubber seal which goes around the bottom in that groove and sits in a groove in the cases. Now the gasket set which had been opened before I got it. When it arrived, it had been opened and just stuffed in a bag. Did not have the O-ring in there. Now, one of the people who watches the videos, Connor, hello Connor if you're watching this one, mentioned that he'd done an M4 engine, which is very similar to this one, and he found that the standard 602 O-ring fits that perfectly. So thanks Connor, that's what I will be using, except I haven't got one. And I can't find one at the minute, loose anyway. So I've ordered a more modern neoprene seal, I think it is. We'll see when it comes. And we're going to use that instead. But it's disappointing that the gasket set didn't come with it. Sorry, it didn't come with the gasket set, I should say. Right, so that's it really. Oh, one final thing before we start assembling all this. I mentioned on the other engine video that Citroen originally used a very thin lacquery type sealant in here. Now, any modern sealant obviously would do the job perfectly well. And I did mention that you can get a similar thing, and I didn't have any in at the time. I bought a new tin. So we're going to use that just so you can see what the original type of sealant would have looked like. It's also very good on paper gaskets, and given the 2CV uses paper gaskets in quite a lot of places, it's going to be useful. So I think that's it for the bottom end. We should be moving on to assembly in a minute as far as the video goes, but probably a couple of days in real life because I'm still waiting for that stupid seal. So while we're here, I cleaned up the outside of the Dynamo, so that shouldn't stick again with a bit of grease. That should sit in there nicely. There are no signs of any damage. All the windings are good. It's got cloth wrapped windings in there. Needs a bit of insulating tape on that. And then the copper section cleaned up nicely. It's very slightly worn in the middle, but again with the brushes cleaned up and free to move, I don't think that'd be a problem. Everything else cleaned up. There's no sign of any damage to any of the windings. There's one small place where the insulation looks slightly swollen, but anyway, I'm pretty certain that will work. So we're going with it. I shall have to look and see what tests you can do with it. I don't have a 6-volt battery to hand, so I'll see what tests can be done resistance wise to check the windings. There's probably something in the workshop manual for that as well. And that really is it. So I will bring you back when our rubber arrives. And magically, by the power of the internet, here it is. So it's green. I can't remember what it is. It might be, yeah, I can't remember what it's made of, but anyway. It's the only one I could get individually. And that slides over there into that. Will it go in one go? It's tight. Tighter than the ones you get in the kit. But it's on. And there it is. Excellent. Let's stick the crank in. Everything's oiled up. Now, that drops in there. The bearings have got lines marked on them, which line up with the case to help you get the dowels in place. There we go. No. That one's in, this one isn't. Let's just move that around. Get them in, there we go. There we are. Is that fully down? Yes. Is that fully down? Yes. Right. Crank's in. Right, the camshaft on the crank, which I can't see because I'm blind. There. There is a single line on these, and on the camshaft there is also a single line, and they have to match up. Right, before the cams go in, we need to fit our cam followers. So a bit of assembly lube on them. There we go. And a bit on the cam lobes. Right, that should line up. And then we have to get the dowel on in the cam. There we go. There we go. Double check the marks line up, which they do. Good. So that's the cam in. So we need our oil pickup. I think I'll just put a smear of rubber grease on that new O-ring, just to help it seat. And the strainer hole has to go to the bottom, and the hole has to line up with that. So we'll just put 1/8mm in there, and then we will seal the case up. So our paper gasket should fit like that. So we're going to use our new gasket sealant, which comes with an applicating ball. Smells very chemically. Right, and we'll give that some as well. Okay, so the pump body has just been pushed on the cam, and I've used 3 bolts to line it up so there's no twisting motion when I try and refit the 2 halves, which wouldn't be very helpful. So I think that is it. Strainer's in, attached, ready to go. That's in so it won't move, gasket's on it. Cam and crank are lined up, just double check, yep. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So we shall just use our sealant on the case halves. As you can see, it's very quick and easy to apply this stuff. So that goes in. And then our other half with the lubed up cam followers already fitted So it should go through there. Oh, and there you go. Straight in. Excellent. Good. So that's probably enough for this video, I think. So next time we will bolt it all up and start assembling other bits onto the case. But for the moment, thanks very much for watching.